Now what we're going to work on is the back of the car, but first I just wanted to comment about why we made this mesh like this. Normally with a higher poly car we would actually make the honeycomb mesh and do it that way, but with a lower poly car you're just going to use a texture instead so that you can save on vertices, because making these meshes would be quite a few vertices to add, and we're trying to keep the vertex count low, so that's why we did it this way. This is like a lower poly method. If you wanted a higher poly method, we would do it more like I've done in the Zenvo video, for example, where I actually modeled it instead of doing it this way. This is like a lower poly way of doing it, so that's why we did it that way. So now what we want to do is work on the back. So we're going to go to 7 for top view, tab to edit mode, Z for wireframe. And what I found with the back is that actually these references are a bit off, and it's not as obvious on this part, and you'll just have to trust me because I've tried this before and I've looked at the references we're looking at. So like what we have is it shows that it kind of ends here, like this line's supposed to end, but in reality it doesn't end. If we take a look at the side view, for example, so you get this line that's lower down that continues on all the way to the back, and then you have this other line that's up a little bit higher which runs along right next to that other line and just continues up like this all the way to the back. So these are both supposed to go all the way to the back, and furthermore, from side view, this line that's up a little higher is supposed to stay up a little higher the whole time, even though like it looks like it may be a little bit lower with this reference. These are actually supposed to be slightly higher, and they just continue along like that until they get to the end. So that's one of the minor things that's wrong about the back. There's other things that are wrong, which we'll get to. And maybe it's just that this car is different, or the references that were used to make this blueprint are not the same as this car. That's fine. So we're going to select these. We're going to do E to extrude, bring these out, and then just left click. We'll bring these all the way to the end of this over here, I suppose. This line right here is actually like that fin that's in the back, so we don't need to make any vertices right here because that's the fin. It's not anything else. So we want to move these vertices, but they need to follow along with each other. So instead of following this line, just keep them together. And then go to side view, and we're going to bring these down and put them more in position just by using G or using the handles, whatever suits your purposes. If we go to back view real quick with Control 1, like you see we have this mess. It's difficult to see what we're doing. So if we go to top view with 7, we're going to hide the front of the car by selecting one of these vertices, B to box select, get the front of the car and press H to hide it. Now if we do Control 1, it's a lot cleaner. It's a lot easier to deal with this. So we want to just make sure, well actually that one was in a good position. We're just going to make sure that these kind of follow along. And I also want to reposition some of these so that this is a bit cleaner because the curve's pretty bad. So I'm going to go to top view just to make sure I didn't screw these up too badly. Okay, those look fine. So make sure everything looks good in all the views. These maybe can come down a little. That looks good. So we can see these two need to go down here. They need to continue down here, but this whole thing needs to have another extrusion, because we have from this, this is that top part that we have right now, and we need it to be down again like this. And from some of these angles you can tell that this part's supposed to be further out than the top part. So we want to make sure that when we extrude these down, this extrusion's further out. So I'm going to select all these, E to extrude, drag them down to roughly where I think they should be. Check again in side view, bring it forward, and maybe reposition these a little. Make this a bit wider. Something like that. You can go to top view, and this is the part that's not going to line up. This is one of the parts that's not going to line up. That's just, you can't really follow this 100%, because if you look at the car, this just goes straight across. Like if you make this goes straight across, just like that. So this is going to be good for our purposes. Now we want to angle this. Like this part's supposed to be, this top part's supposed to be more to the left. This part's supposed to be more to the right. You can see how it's angled. So you want to make sure this is angled. So you want to take these two, make sure this is angled. That's how it's supposed to be. And then the light ends, like you have this hood line or whatever line this is. I guess it's the hood line. And then the light ends to the right of it. So this is like the hood line, and then even though this watermark's in the way, this would kind of be where that light would end, something like that. And for the light, it's going to be rounded here, so we need to make another vertex like it would be rounded, so we can E to extrude and make it like this. Try to round it out a little bit, and we're just going to make a triangle. So select these three and press F. I know some people don't like triangles. If you're one of those people, you can try to avoid them, but I don't mind them all that much. So now we're going to continue this down, and we can just kind of continue this down like this, and then we can continue it over. So we can take these two, E to extrude, bring them down like this, and we want to make sure that they're angled more like how this blueprint is, and snap these on the Z-axis to make sure they have the same Z value. And then grab these two, E to extrude, right click, and drag them over to the center. Just make sure that they're merged at the center. And maybe bring these up slightly just to match the blueprints a little better. And even though it shows basically a straight line in the blueprint, this is curved up a bit. So we want to make sure that it's curved up a bit. So this needs to be slightly curved up like this. And now we haven't moved it in the Y direction at all, so we still have to do that. So we can grab these 3 for side view and move it over. Not really sure what all this is, like what the difference is between those two lines, but I think something like that is probably relatively accurate. But we do have some bad shading here, like you can see how this is bad. That's mostly because this vertex needs to be moved forward some until this is basically a straight line, and then you don't even notice it anymore. That's basically the reason why that shading looked all messed up. So now what we can do is grab these two and go to side view with 3, E to extrude, bring this down. And that looks fairly good, so we're going to go to back view with control 1, make sure everything lines up. These look like they're supposed to be straight across, so just snap them, grab it on the Z, hold control, snap it. So that looks pretty good. Now we have the light, so we can bring this over. So if we just select these two and press F, that gives us the hole for the light. So now we can take these two and E to extrude again, bring these down. And let's take a look at this. And again, we're going to have a curve at the bottom like we did with the light. Probably going to use a triangle again. If you don't want to, find a way to do it without it. Like if you wanted, for example, in this case, you could try to continue this on. But a lot of times you're going to have shading issues if you have vertices that are close like that. It's difficult to deal with those sometimes, so I try to just avoid any extra work that I may have to do. So it needs to curve down and then come across again. Which is like part of the reason, because this shows it basically as a flat surface, but it really is not. Like it really actually curves downward. So this is part of the problem with this image. It's not really clear. So I'm going to do ED extrude and bring this over a little. Get a bit of a curve, I guess. And maybe E to extrude, we can bring this down over to here, a bit above this. Whoops. Because you have like this area around that's all black, and then you have this other area that's flat around it. And here's another problem with the blueprint, is that here we have this, it goes from here down left, and here they have it from here down right. So this actually is going to go down this way, and the rest of this is going to get extruded with E, right click and bring this over. And again, this part goes downward, more like that. So it's more like this than it is. And this part comes up a little, because from the reference you can see that there's a fair amount of distance here, and then the distance between these two gets smaller. So you just want to make sure the distance gets smaller. Something like that. We'll take a quick look at this. We need to move it, of course, in the Y direction. So we're going to take a look from the side. Grab these, bring them over, maybe rotate, something like that. Looks decent. This looks like it needs to be down a little more. So that it can follow along like that. So that looks pretty good. Not too bad, I guess. Except that this maybe could use a little tweaking. Looks good, so the center needs to be moved, so we'll grab the center and just pull it out to where the center basically should be. We haven't made this top part yet, we've just been going around the bottom of this to start out. So don't worry that that's not lining up. It's not supposed to at this point. So that gives us this. And we should probably start filling in this area. So what I did to do this, I actually don't really remember. But if we do this, we're going to have problems, I think. I'm going to take a look at what I did, just because it's easier. This part was actually not the easiest to fill in, because it's mostly because of these two vertices that are really close together. It made it difficult to get the shading correct. So, well, here's a preview of some of the later stuff we'll be doing. So, okay, so I just got rid of this edge vertex by selecting it, shift selecting this, Alt M at last. That gets rid of the problem, and then you can fill this in with F, and things look reasonably okay. And then you can go down here, make another face, and just continue your way down, making faces. And I did the same there. I just merged them to reduce the vertex count. So I merged these two with Alt M at last. There you go. Still looks fine, so no problems there. Triangles for the win, I guess. We do have a little shading problem here, but I think I kinda maybe that's just gonna be there. That's not that big of a deal. It's not too noticeable. So that's gonna be good for that. Now we can actually just fill in this area, so we can grab these, press F to fill it in. There's your light. Select this one, shift select that one, J to join. There you go. There's our light area filled in. This next area, where this thing's going to be, first we need to do this little thing right here. We need to make this indent a bit. So to do that, we're going to Alt right click this and press F to make a face. Then we're going to press I and then B to get rid of the middle thing. So now it's all like this by pressing B, and just make a really small inset like that, and then do I again for inset and press B and do it a bit more. Then do delete and choose faces. So we have this. This is the part that we're going to move in, so we're going to Alt right click, move this in. You can see we are already starting to get the effect that we're looking for. Not sure if it shows. Okay, it does show in the back view, so we're gonna start moving some of these into place. And it does look like it curves down some, so these need to be higher than this one, and maybe move this one over a little. And once it gets to the side, it really tapers off and then basically just meets back up. So we want to make sure that it tapers off and basically meets back up. So this needs to taper off something like that. I'm going to pull this one back some to get rid of that shading problem. Or forward, actually, maybe. Looks a little better. We could keep these top vertices if we wanted to, but I think I'm going to move them a little further forward. Maybe not. Actually, it kind of looked better like that. Because the top actually does have sort of a bevel to it, even though it's hard to see. Even the light itself kind of has one at the bottom, I think. The other option is to get rid of those vertices by just merging them, so you can actually you can just delete these. So I got these selected, you can just delete them. And then take this one and merge it to this one. And that's the other option. It's lower poly, still looks good. A little less physically accurate because it actually does have a bevel as far as I can tell. Very small one. But it will keep it lower poly. And now we can take these vertices and merge them over this way. So I'm going to select this one, hold shift, select this one, alt M at last. And then do the same thing with this one. Select this one, hold shift, select that one, alt M at last. And that just makes it so we don't have two sets of vertices really close. And then what we want to do is we want to do Control R and add in the loop cut here. So just left click and right click. And we want to add some more curvature down here. So we're going to do Control R and scroll up once so we get two loop cuts, then left click, right click. So now we have some nicer geometry to fill in this area. And to do that, we're just going to hold Alt and then right click. That's going to get this whole edge loop. And then we're going to press F. And you can see it doesn't look the best right now. So in edit mode with this still selected, let's just press Y. That's going to separate it from the rest of the mesh and make it look a bit nicer. And if we want to, we can do Shift H. That'll hide everything except for this newly created mesh part. And we can start joining some vertices together. So we're going to select these two, J to join, select these two, J to join. Same over here. I actually noticed that I made a little mistake on the side, so if we press 3, Tab and then Z, and Alt H to unhide everything, and A to deselect. This one actually needs to be connected here. So what we need to do is go to Face Selection and select these faces. Press Delete and choose Faces. We're going to do Control R, add in a loop cut here, just left click, then right click. Back to Vertex Select. And we're going to select these four, press F. Select these four, press F, and now it's connected the way it should be. So we can just select these two, press F, and then F. We have similar geometry to what we had before. Everything actually looks better like this, and we have that connection like it's supposed to be. So again, just go to File and Save.